First published in 1908, The Wind in the Willows by Scottish writer Kenneth Grahame is a classic children's story that follows the adventures of three animals, mole, rat, and badger. Living in the woodlands, they frequently find themselves rescuing their thrill-seeking friend Mr. Toad, who often gets into trouble. Widely regarded as one of the greatest works of children's literature, The Wind in the Willows has been reprinted numerous times, with many editions illustrated by renowned artists. Notably, the 1931 edition featured illustrations by Ernest H. Shepard, who also illustrated A. A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh. The book has inspired feature films, television productions, and numerous stage adaptations, including musicals and an opera. The story begins with Mr. Mole, tired of spring cleaning, emerging from his burrow to enjoy the warm sun on the meadows. He wanders until he reaches a river, encountering Mr. Rat, a water rat, who invites Mole on a boating trip. They picnic by a small lagoon where Otter joins them, and Mr. Badger makes a brief appearance but leaves due to his dislike of company. Mr. Toad rushes past in a new fancy rowboat, which Otter predicts he will soon abandon for another hobby. During the return trip, Mole attempts to row but capsizes the boat. Rat rights the boat, and Mole apologizes. Rat invites Mole to live with him, and Mole accepts, learning to swim and row under Rat's guidance. One day, they visit Mr. Toad at Toad Hall, where they learn about his latest acquisition, a colorful wagon. Rat and Mole join Toad on a journey with the wagon, but after 2 days, a motor car startles their horse, causing the wagon to crash. Enthralled by the motor car, Toad develops a sudden passion for automobiles. As fall turns to winter, Mole decides to visit the reclusive Mr. Badger in the Wildwood. He encounters eerie sights and sounds, eventually hiding in a tree hole. Rat finds him, and after getting lost in a snowstorm, they stumble upon Badger's home. Badger welcomes them, providing food and shelter. They inform Badger of Toad's reckless behavior with automobiles, and Badger insists they must reason with Toad in the spring. During a December hunting trip, Mole senses his old burrow nearby. He and Rat find it just as Mole left it, though dusty. They are visited by caroling mice, whom they invite inside. Rat has one of the mice fetch food from the village, which they all enjoy together. While Mole is happy to revisit his old home, he continues his adventures above ground. Meanwhile, Toad continues to buy and crash cars. Concerned for his well-being and estate, Badger, Rat, and Mole try to persuade him to give up his dangerous hobby. They lock him at home, but Toad escapes, steals a car, gets arrested, and is imprisoned. During this time, Otter's young son, Portly, goes missing. Rat and Mole search upriver and find him on a small island, protected by the demigod Pan, who is playing beautiful music. A breeze makes them forget the vision of the island and Pan's music. Rat and Mole return Portly to Otter and head home, puzzled and saddened by the memory of something wonderful they can't quite recall. Meanwhile, Toad, wallowing in misery in his prison cell, becomes a project for the jailer's daughter. She brings him food and talks him out of his funk, eventually helping him escape by disguising him in a washerwoman's uniform. Toad then persuades a train engine driver to give him a ride back home. During the journey, they are chased by a police train, but Toad jumps off into the woods and disappears among the trees. Rat encounters a visiting ship rat who enchants him with tales of the great coastal cities of Europe. Hypnotized by these stories, Rat decides to explore other lands and prepares to leave, but Mole intercepts him and shakes him out of his trance. Toad wakes in the forest and sets out along a canal road. He hitches a ride on a barge, boasting to the stout lady steering it that he is a successful washerwoman with 20 employees. She asks him to clean some clothes as payment for the ride, but Toad, clueless about laundry, makes a mess of it. The woman laughs at his futile efforts, angering Toad, who then insults her. In response, she throws him off the boat. Enraged, Toad steals her horse and rides away. After miles of travel, Toad encounters a gypsy cooking breakfast. Hungry, Toad sells the horse for a meal. Continuing on foot, he hails an approaching car, but nearly faints when he realizes it's the same one he had stolen weeks earlier. The driver and passenger, mistaking him for a distressed washerwoman, give him a ride. Toad talks his way into the driver's seat, speeds, and crashes the car into a pond. Fleeing from the police once more, Toad falls into the river, which carries him past Rat's house. Rat rescues him, and Toad learns that Toad Hall has been taken over by armed weasels. Toad attempts to reclaim his home but is repelled by gunfire and sunk by guards when he tries to approach by boat. Badger reveals a secret tunnel leading into Toad Hall. The friends agree to raid the hall during an upcoming weasel banquet. Disguised as a washerwoman, Mole visits the hall and spreads a rumor that over 100 rats and badgers will attack after dark, throwing the Stoats into a panic. That evening, amidst the boisterous banquet, the four friends burst into the great hall, shouting and swinging cudgels. The weasels scatter, and the escaping animals clash with the guardian Stoats, who mistake them for the attacking force Mole had warned about. The interlopers flee into the night. Toad and Badger host a celebratory banquet for the neighbors. Badger and Rat convince Toad not to ruin it with boastful speeches and songs. Toad behaves modestly, giving credit to his friends. To his surprise, the guests respect him more for his humility than his old bravado. Thereafter, the river community regards Mole, Rat, Badger, and Toad as great heroes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.